Today we're gonna try to get this AC to work because it's getting hot and sunny with a Corolla HVAC heater control valve. Yeah, heater control valve. The heater control valve is gonna make our AC better than the Previa, which has been pretty crappy forever. So when you own a unicorn car, the 1994 Toyota Previa SC supercharged AllTrac all-wheel drive LE, it's hard to find parts. Unicorn car parts are not easy to find because they just didn't make a lot of them, and they're not available anymore from 1994. So supposedly this heater control valve, HVAC heater control valve, it controls the flow of warm coolant to the exchange, so it can blow into across it for warm air into the car. You shut this off when you're running AC because you run it at cold, so this valve flips to cold. The one that's in here on the OEM 1994 unit, I'm pretty sure it doesn't seal shut anymore because in the summer the AC just never gets that cold. It smells good now because I cleaned it. There's some videos on that. I cleaned the evaporator, but it just never is really cold. So supposedly I can take the Corolla unit, what's in my hand is the same, but the linkage on the top and the mounting bracket are different on a Corolla, and I can switch out this valve, which is no longer working, that's in here, take the linkage off of the original one and remount it onto here, and it should work just fine. I found that on a Facebook group, so I'll share a little bit more on that in a little bit. So on the SC Previa, obviously there's a supercharger down in there. So this area gets a little bit more convoluted with pipes and air hoses and air lines and coolant lines running around. So the battery would normally be over here. It's moved over here. And then back behind the coolant reservoir, see if I can light it up. You can see it. See it back there? I'll point to it. It's right there. That thing. See it? That's my OEM heater control unit. And as you can tell, it's leaky. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't close all the way, and I'm not sure if it's cracked or broken or what, but it leaks on both the intake and the outtake hose lines. So, we are going to take that bad boy out. Hopefully, I don't think I have to drain all the coolant. I just got to get this out of the way, so we'll do our best here not to lose a ton of it. And got to get this out and then see if I can move the linkage and parts and mounting bracket over to the new one from a Corolla. All right, well, update. I just realized I unbolted the mounting top for the this little guy, the coolant overflow tank, and I can't even get it to budge because of the hose lines that are attached to it. The 3 hose lines, they're not long enough to get it out of its bracket, so I am going to have to drop some coolant out of the bottom of the radiator, just enough to get it out of the tank, and then I can disconnect some hoses and get that thing completely out of our way. All right, that was false information. I was like, I didn't have to do that before. So I was able to just get it to wedge under here and get it out of the way. So there we are. There's our heater control valve. It is working here. Just this cable connects into the slider on the dash. So shut is all the way back, so that should be letting my AC run. And then forward, when I flip it forward, it should be on opening up for heat. So we are going to lose some coolant. I'm going to put a little catch cardboard down below in a pan. I don't know where it's all going to drip. We'll see if we can catch some of this, and we're going to pull this bad boy out with limited access here, but that should be good enough. I should be able to get in there. And voila, presto, just like that. There's a little bit of coolant sitting there. I just stuck a towel in there to suck it up. Not much spilled. There it is. It is out. But that's going to bring up another unicorn parts. Last summer, pretty much this time of year, April, May, June, when I decided to do my head gasket, I had ordered all new hoses that you're looking at right there from Megazip, and they confirmed the order. I was just waiting on a shipping confirmation. I was in here. I had a day extra, so I cut out all the hoses because I noticed, especially on this, this is the supply coming up to the HVAC control valve, the one that's full of Toyota coolant right there. Yep, that one. It was covered in coolant salts or deposits. So lo and behold, about 2.5 weeks later, I got a notice that the parts were no longer available that I ordered on these hoses for the SC. All you can get are for the non-SC Toyota Previas, which has a completely different setup for how these hoses run because the battery's not sitting in this space. It sits much lower and much more direct. So I tried to cut those hoses and run them as custom hoses. I did a whole video on that. Tried it like maybe 5 times with different hose compounds. Got them all to bend using the bending springs that go inside of them, heating them up, letting them sit. And lo and behold, you put them on, let them heat up with the system actually running, and they just recrimp themselves because there's no longer a spring in there. So yeah, these are probably going to fail on me, and I'm not sure what I'm going to replace them with. So my word of advice is don't cut out these hoses until you're ready to deal with some major pain in the ass. Clearly, they are not compatible with each other, but they both turn, I guess looking down from the top, they both turn. This is the brand new Corolla one, OEM Toyota. And it closes by going counterclockwise and hitting its thing. So it says right there, shut. So that's when you'd have full AC and the valve would be closed. This one does the same thing, except it's just in a different position to its mounting brackets, because the cable's coming in off the firewall this way, and on a Corolla it's coming in this way. So it pushes itself closed and pulls itself open. On this one, it pushes itself open and pulls itself closed. So they are backwards to each other. So we need to get this unit, the actual valve itself. Let's do some comparisons. They look to be identical. As of the actual valve, they look to be identical. The way they mount on the bracket's identical. It's just a different linkage on the top. So I've got to pull this one apart, and we're going to put all of that onto this one. I am curious that when it's shut, I'm going to do a real quick test here. When it's shut, no air should be able to go through it. And on this one, I suspect that when it's shut, it doesn't close all the way, because I know that there's an O-ring in here that supposedly goes bad. And that's why the AC sucks, because it's constantly putting hot water, hot coolant, into the exchange reservoir, or exchange whatever it is in the car, the heater core. So it's blowing AC and it's blowing air across the heater core at the same time. So they are fighting each other. So let's test this real quick. All right, you're with me. Live test. I cleaned this off because I hate the taste of coolant. So this should be open. Clearly goes through. Pushing it closed. It's now shut. The cable would pull it closed. Ooh, I can still taste coolant. I fucking hate that. Yeah, not a full seal, but not as bad as I thought it would be. Let's try the brand new one. That's open. On this one, go to the counterclockwise position to be shut. I can't blow anything through there. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's definitely better on this one. So let's replace it. And I'm not sure. I mean, it's got a lot of leakage all the way around it. So is it from the old hoses? I'm not sure. Have no idea. So just looking at this OEM Volvo Previa Heater Control Valve, it has 2 crisscross nuts or bolts for the bracket that mounted onto the bracket, and then 1 for the linkage on the top. But quick reminder, they're not Phillips. That's why I call it a crisscross, because it's not a Phillips. They're going to be these special JIS, Japanese Industrial Standard. They are not the same profile. And when you go to use a Phillips on those, you're going to strip them out. So save yourself the trouble. Get some of these on Amazon. They are not expensive. Just keep them around. Piece of cake. Well, so far, I'm going to jinx myself, but this is turning out to be way easier than I thought. Just take your time. JIS Industrial Standard, Japanese Industrial Standard on the nuts or bolts. They came off pretty easy. Actually, they came off of this older one easier than they came off the new one. These were much tighter. But interestingly enough, you can see that the shape of this is like, that looks like an upside down little house drawing, you know, square on the top and the 2 left and right. And then it's got a point on the bottom. We have the same shape over here. Now we can see them side by side. They are identical. Flows that way, sits on the top. They are pretty much identical. I don't see any, there we go, it's saying RD TEF. Denso RD TEF, it looks like underneath all the residues. I don't see any parts numbers directly on here though. So these things must have been universal and just used with different brackets for different cars. But what's interesting is I put the little 2 orientations, so it looks like a little upside down house drawing. This is my Previa OEM, and this is the Toyota Corolla, and they line up with each other, and they're just synced off just a little bit, and they both go that direction, this way. Whoop, turn that way, so clockwise looking down on it to shut. So they will work. All I gotta do is mount the new stuff onto here, and I'm gonna use those screws that just came out because they're not all gross and old. All right, so I'm just looking at this old one, and it says right there, Denso is the manufacturer, and it's an RD. It looks to be a TP, I believe. TP, and I believe that's what it says on this side as well. Let's see if we can clean that off a little bit. Yep, RD 1P? You know what? I'm not sure if that's a T or a 1. But then when I look at this one that came from for the Corolla, it's an RD12F. And on this side it has the same thing, RD12F. So they that must be the Denso part number. Maybe if you went to Denso, you could just get that. I bet it's on something else besides the Previa. And then you get, that'd be a lot cheaper. I'll have to look into that. I'll post that in the video later. I'll look up to see if that thing is available from a Denso by itself. And then you just have to transfer the linkages. And hopefully we'll still get this one to work. And I just remembered I'd ordered some Toyota OEM hose clamps, the brand new ones. So you slide them on. Normally you got to do, you got to pinch them with some needle nose calipers and slide them off the hose. But these are brand new, never been released. You slide them on there, get them where you want them, and pull this whole chrome tab right off, and it goes bam. It's going to tighten down. It's going to move through. I've verified they fit on the hoses, so maybe that will fix our leakage issue that we've had going on this one for years, because the old ones just weren't tight. Matter of fact, I even stole one off of a Volvo. This one, that is Volvo, or not Volvo specific, but that was for my Volvo parts. So yeah, gonna put these on here with that, and we'll get it back together. All right, there's the heater control valve output that goes to the heater core in the car to warm it up and let hot air blow across it. See at that bend at the firewall where that thing is completely crimped? I had that perfect as an S-bend last year with the springs inside of it, heated it up, had it perfect. It does the same thing down there below where it goes into the firewall. So that thing was absolutely perfect. The other one that's got a crimp in it is the one in the middle that you're looking at. Let's see if I can get it to where you can see it. All right, there are two of them stacked. So the middle one, it's hard to see it. The middle one there is also got a massive crimp in it. So it just kind of comes out in a short little double curve, or two axis curve of a little quarter turn, and it's a mess. So they have both crimps. So I'm actually sitting here thinking maybe I just shove a spring in there and let it stay, because those are going to fail. Obviously, I can't get access to that one at the moment. I'm going to leave it because I don't want to take the battery out again. But for right now, I might just shove a spring in there and see if that one will open back up. All right, well, I'm going to have to wait on the spring doesn't go in there. I can't get it to go through. I can get it through the first top bend that you're looking at there, but it's not going through the next bend into the firewall. Can't get enough leverage on it with it running into place. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do on these differently. Comment down below what you Previa owners with these SCs have done for this. And if you have specific part numbers, I even contacted Same, and he's just said go to Napa and see if they got something that I can make work with the specific bends. But I have not been able to get anything to custom bend and stay to shape so far, and I've tried many times. There were videos posted on that last summer, so I know these hoses are going to crack and fail at those pinch points eventually. So let's see what happens first. Hoses fail or the head gasket blows again. Presto changeo, it is in there, and I have both hose clamps on there with OEM Toyota replacements. Just got to put a 12 bolt in there, put this cable back on there. It is perfect. Locks, shuts. Just hope my hoses last for a while. All right, well, I just did a quick Google on the Denso RD1P and found nothing. Or F. Is that a P or an F? That's a P, I believe. I thought, but I found absolutely nothing that would work. There were some Toyota ones, but they're usually coming in on a linear, not this 90 degrees. So there's probably something else out there that you can use, but obviously the Corolla one works because this part is exactly the same. It is in there. It is bolted down. It's reconnected on its cable. It is working. Put this back over, and we'll go cycle this thing, see what happens, and see if my AC improves. I'll put this in the description of the video down below. But this OEM Volvo, the Previa is this HVAC Heater Control Valve is an 87240-28060. There it is. No longer available anywhere. But this Corolla one is an 87240-12260, and I think they were from 1993 until, I don't know, 2002, something like that. So these things are all over the place. And all you gotta do is switch out the bracket, because this part you don't need. That ain't gonna work. Anyway, that's it. And just real quick, there is a video. Christian Steenerson posted a video. If you look up, if you just go to the Toyota Previa Lovers United group on Facebook, and just all I did was did a search HVAC Heater Control Valve, and scroll down, it's going to be there. You'll see a bunch of parts. It's not a video, it's just a bunch of photos, so it wasn't too hard. That's why I put a video of how to do it. But before we do that, we need to see if we can replace a crank position sensor for the computer system on the Previa. I'm hoping that I have just enough space to slide the old one out without dropping the engine on the top of the engine, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, because something going wrong in there. All right, I'm looking through the driver's seat hatch on the top of the engine and where you fill the oil. See that green, what is it, a green wire and a yellow wire up there? Just across the top of where it says oil. Keep going. Yep, there it is. It's in focus. Green and yellow going into that. That is wet with oil all the time. It is wet on the top. And I'm pretty sure that I cracked that thing, or it has a bad seal on it. I do remember when I dropped the engine and I was in here getting some stuff loosened up, that I had a bolt slip and I cracked my hand so damn hard I was cussing, and I'm pretty sure all the neighbors heard it. So I'm kind of assuming that I smashed my hand on that thing. Maybe I cracked the housing and that's why it's got oil coming out. But I smashed my hand in there really badly when I was loosening up all the intake stuff, or to get the, when I was doing the head gasket. So anyway, there's a little part of this and I was loosening up some bolts, just loosening them. If I remember right, it's those two on this big bracket right there. And, oh no, it was those. It was that one right there, dead center, and the one that's down below it. Yep, right there, dead center. Those two. That bottom one let loose on me, and I smashed my hand. I'm kind of sure that I probably smashed it into that sensor. So I'm going to see if I can get in there. Looks like this bracket's got to come out of the way, because I can't get to a Torx. Yep, let's see what we can do. Here's the new one. I did slide it down in there, and it's got just enough space to sit vertical. So I think if I can get the older one, if I can get access to the bolts, I can get it to pop out and slide out, and we'll get a new one in there. That's the connector. Obviously the electrical's still working because the van's running great. But that is always full of oil, and this area is always wet. All right, 2 14s and 2 10s, and that bracket came out. Nothing easy. Nothing worth doing is ever easy, right? So those are easy. This, I'm just leaving this. It's not completely supported now. The oil filler tube, it's got the bolts on the side of the engine, oil entry there. For the side, actually that's the bottom of the engine, since this thing's laying on its side. But now I gotta figure out how to get that electrical connector undone, because there's not enough cable to be able to pull it out of its place. Those look like 2 more 10s. They're Torx on the top, but 10s on the outside. So I'm gonna get on hold of them with a 10, I think. But I'm not going to be able to pull it out unless I can get that connector off. And it disconnects from the top. It's just old plastic that's been on there for 300,000 miles. And I can't pinch it hard enough to get it to pop. So, yeah, I bet all this is easier with the engine out. That's where I'm at. Yep, you're looking at my red thing. Yeah, that. I got to get my hands in there on that with my wimpy little fingers. And up there where that yellow wire and that green wire are at. And squeeze that connector so it'll release from its mount. Yeah, not easy. Oh my god, YouTube, I have finally got the 2 10mm bolts out. The tops, I could not get them with, I got one of them. I got the left one with a Torx T30. The right one, the Torx was stripping. It had already been stripped and loosened. The outside had already been stripped and loosened. I was able to pop it free using an actual gripper, one that's for pulling out stripped 10mm bolts. So it was able to pop on and just pop it loose. They're not even supposed to be that tight. So yeah, that was brutal. So now, still haven't been able to get that connector undone, but everything is disconnected. Let's see if I reach in here. Should be able to start pulling this out. Let's see how far I can get it and see if maybe I can get that connector to spin around so I can see what I'm doing and pop it free. Oh boy. Jump down there, hit subscribe, because this is some quality content, people. Yeah, I was about ready to give up. And I got out a trusty screwdriver. I was able to spin that thing. I got it. Can't disconnect the electrical, so I was like lifting it up. I started thinking how much has got to come undone to do just the driver's side engine mount and drop it just a few more inches, or maybe an inch, so I could get it to come out with the electrical connector on the top of the sensor, you know, on top of, here's my replacement one up here, because it just sticks up too far and there's not enough space to lift it out. But it finally broke free. That's why this is quality content. Jump down there, hit subscribe. All right, there it is. It came out. It does have some metal pieces, but the car's, you know, 303,000 miles on it now, or 301, 302, something like that. Can't remember. It's got about 3,000 miles since I did the head gasket, but it's just got little bits of stuff stuck to the magnet. You can see it there, little pieces of metal, but that's kind of normal for 300,000 miles, right? And that is a magnet, so at least it's staying up and away. It sits in there. Let me set that down, grab a flashlight. You can just, I don't know if you can make it out, but I can make it out. There is a little bit of chain down in there. You can see the water pump chain and timing chain probably coming through there. So I'm gonna clean that off, put a new one in there. I don't know where it was leaking or if it's leaking down below on the front somehow and spraying up, but I'm gonna be able to replace this and get that connector back on there. That is a plus. All right, well, this is kind of funny because I ordered this Delphi crankshaft position sensor for a Previa, Delphi aftermarket, and it came and it says Denso on it, which is, you know, OEM for, there it is, Denso Japan, and it is identical to this one that just came out that also says Denso Japan. I'm assuming this is the original. I've owned this van since 2009, 2010, something like that. And I know I didn't replace it, so I'm pretty sure this is original. You can definitely see metal fragments all stuck to it from all those 300,000 miles of wear. All right, let's drop this new one down in there and see if I can get that connector on there and bolt it up. All right, so I was told, I put a picture of that oil that was sitting on the top of the electrical connector maybe 6 months ago. It's just been too cold to come out here and mess with it, but I was told that this rubber O-ring right here, it's kind of weird because it's a big O-ring around the outside, but it's flat as well, that it just shrinks over the years and comes off of this tube. So it's a big washer type O-ring with a bulb around the outside like a normal O-ring. But I've heard it just creates space on the shaft after years, and you can actually get this one to wiggle pretty easy, and it just sneaks through oil and shoots out. Hoping that's what it is, although I don't know how it would shoot out and get all the way up here and come in the top of the connector. But that apparently is what's happening. That's what I was told to do. So we're switching this out and hopefully it fixes the problem. Just by comparison, that one barely shifts, but it is much, much, much more flexible than this old one. Just feels like it's more pliable. All right. Oh my God, going in is so much easier. It actually slides in and out a lot better. I'm guessing it's just all the metal magnetic stuff that was on there, not letting the other one come out. I don't know, but the new one went in much, much easier and clicked connected. So cleaned out the oil out of the top of the wires as best as I could. Hit it with some electrical cleaner on the fronts, make sure the oil's out of there, and that's it. I might wrap some electrical tape on it, but here's my thought. Let's start this bad boy up before I put that bracket back in. That ain't easy to get to. Vacuum line's back on, engine oil dipstick is back in place. Have those out of the way. Let's just start this up and see what happens. Oh, it's running beautiful. All right, I think we're good. No check engine light. It's sensing the camshaft or crankshaft, whatever the hell that is. Just like that, YouTube, it's all back together, bolted up, snug as I can get them. If I ever have to use that engine mount to hoist this engine after it's out of the car, I'll make sure they're even more tight on those 14s. But for right now, they are good enough to hold an oil fill tube in place, because that's all they're going to be used for on there. Look at that. Just like that, it's back to being a van. Yeah, that's where I'm working. Driver door, under the seat. All right, let's clean this up and let's take it out for a drive and see if the AC works better. I know it's running, so that sensor is working. Well, all right then, YouTube. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm going to take this thing out on a little drive and see if the AC works in this Colorado sun spill we got going on. It's like 70, low 70s right now, 5 o'clock. Feels great. Let's go shut some windows, run this thing with AC, heat it up, I know it runs because I started it before I buttoned up everything on the brackets for the oil fill tube, so that's all good. We'll just monitor that at the next oil changes and see if there's any more leakage going on the front. I think that took care of that. Crossing my fingers. If not, let's add it to the list of things I never want to fix again. Just look, the van is at 302,203, a symmetrical number. So 302,203, that's a lot of miles. So I'm at the point where I hope most of these repairs are things I only have to do once and never again. All right, be safe out there, YouTube. Have fun. All right, I've driven it. It's up to temp. I got the AC on. Smells great in here from cleaning the evaporator, by the way. Still smells amazing. There's the Toyota OEM evaporator cleaner kit. It's a 2-part kit. Sprayed in from the bottom drain hose. There's a video on that somewhere on YouTube. You can go watch that one. But real fast, is it freezing me out in here? No, it is not. Do I think it's colder? Anecdotally, yes. I do believe it's colder. I think it's working a little bit better, but that's all I got. We're gonna cross our fingers. Maybe it needs a recharge. I can't even remember the last time I had it professionally done. It would have been like 2015, 2016, so maybe 7, 8, 9 years, maybe 10 years ago. Don't know. But maybe it just needs that this summer and we'll get this thing working a lot better. But it smells great in here and it's not blowing warm air while it's blowing cold, but it's not freezing me out either. So that's where we're at. It could be a little bit better, but it's an improvement so far. Be safe out there, YouTube, and have fun.